game like Mega Man 64, I'm sure many fans thought, oh, this is Mega Man's next big step.
My next big step is going to Denny's for the second night in a row.
It's a port of Mega Man Legends from the PlayStation. Well, just call it Mega Man Legends, or if your fetish is that crippling, Mega Man Legends 64. Duke Nukem 64 was just the Nintendo 64 version of Duke Nukem 3D, but Doom 64 is an entirely unique entry in the Doom series, so much so that it received a modern remaster, yet many people always assumed it was just a port of the original Doom. But then you have Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards. What's the point of the number here? You already have a subtitle. Putting 64 in the titles of these games almost feel like these companies were beckoning to fans who only had the Nintendo 64. Like, hey, finally, a Mega Man for you! But hey, at least 64 became an iconic number within the gaming community. It's so specific that when you put it in a title, people know what it means, and it definitely rolls off the tongue with a lot of these names. Monopoly for Nintendo Switch.
Hey, what's up? My name is Marquez. You might know me as MKBHD. I've partnered with Best Buy to bring you my favorite tech for back to school.
Could you be more specific?
This is a trend I will never fully understand. How some game titles do the For Nintendo Switch or Nintendo Switch Edition subtitle. I see this mostly on that console, but other systems aren't immune. 9 times out of 10, a game with For Nintendo Switch in the title isn't like super optimized for Nintendo Switch or has crazy unique features. It's the same as any other multi-plat version, and 9.5 times out of 10, it's a digital-only release, which means you can only find it by going on that system's specific storefront. No fucking shit. Oh, this is the Nintendo Switch Edition? Really? Nintendo gets this treatment the most. I mean, Yakuza 1 and 2 HD on PS3, Yakuza 1 and 2 HD for Wii U on Wii U. To be fair, they've done this themselves, most notably with Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo 3DS, but also with Super Mario Maker for Nintendo 3DS, Brain Training for Nintendo Switch, etc. In many ways, I don't blame them, as, Smash for Wii U and 3DS have the same characters and roughly the same gameplay, but there are some unique features on Wii U, like swimming and climbing ladders, different stages and modes across both games. They're different titles, but the same. So what else would you call them? But I think using the console's name in a video game title just goes to show how potentially lacking of character that specific game has. Damn, you're no nonsense today. The identity of this video game is that it's on a video game console. Sometimes I swear companies do this to mask what their game truly is. Rayman DS? It's Rayman 2. Rayman 3D? It's Rayman 2. Rayman Revolution? God damn, we get it. They're synonyms. Well, you think people are gonna buy these games because they think it'll be a completely new Rayman game? Judging on the back of Rayman DS and 3D make absolutely no mention of these being re-releases and how I keep buying copies of Rayman 3D thinking it's not Rayman 2. It's clear this is another case of titling trickery. I'd honestly say this is borderline false advertising. Like Power Punch 2. There ain't no Power Punch 1. Which shows just how good the sequel is if they jump straight to 2. So this game was originally developed as a sequel to Punch-Out!, but publisher Nintendo dropped out during production, so the developer just released it as their own original game, but since they didn't have the rights to the Punch-Out! Name, they renamed it to Power Punch and added a 2 to the mix, as I guess they still viewed it as a sequel. I mean, it just goes to show how powerful a number in a title can be with a sequel. You have a billion-ass Kingdom Hearts games released between Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3. Like, literally, there was a mainline Kingdom Hearts game released on the Nintendo 3DS in 2012, and 1 year later, people still lost their minds over Kingdom Hearts 3 being announced at E3 2013, as if it's been so long since the last Kingdom Hearts. But you know what just rubs me the wrong way? When a series flip-flops between using Roman numerals and standard numbers for sequels. Ninja Gaiden, Ninja Gaiden 2, and Ninja Gaiden 3. I hope the fourth one uses tally marks and is a part of the Black Ops series. It's that inconsistency that doesn't necessarily bother me, but just perplexes me. Like, why? Why are you like this? Especially when some games have subtitles and some don't. Like Resident Evil had this perfect string of sequel names. But then 3 just had to include Nemesis in the title. Hey, sometimes it's okay to stick out a little bit. And 3 thankfully wasn't the only one to do so. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. So they switched over to Roman numerals for this one, but it's all a part of the logo, highlighting the V, I, and part of the L in evil to make a 7. Then the subtitle Biohazard is actually the title of the Resident Evil franchise in Japan. So over there, the game is actually called Biohazard 7 Resident Evil, with the 7 coming out of the Z in Biohazard. Just everything about these titles and logos are so clever and cool. I love them. It is weird though that while the subtitle being Biohazard is great and all, it doesn't really make a ton of sense. For this specific game with this specific story, I'm not sure how well the term Biohazard represents it, as it's more of a cute nod to the series title in Japan, rather than an effective subtitle. And also, even with the English logo using a Roman numeral, most official listings of the game give it a standard number 7. But then with the next Resident Evil game, it followed the same format, had the Roman numeral 8 in the logo. That's not a part of the official name. It's not Resident Evil 8 Village, it's just Resident Evil Village. Why is the logo like this then? It's like Horizon Forbidden West. They put this Roman numeral 2 right here, but never refer to it when talking about the game. Maybe it's a pause button. But these specific cases, I can live with. Well, not for an extended period of time. They don't irritate me, they just perplex me. Now, sequel titles that do irritate me, less so irritate, more so enable. Removing words from the franchise's name and following entries, I just don't like this. It feels cheap and tacky and lame, like the game producers are trying to get hip with the lingo. Oh, people just call our series Gears. Well, we do too. You know, Gears of War 5 takes the same amount of effort to say as Gears of War 2 does, and we were doing just fine back then. This makes Gears 5 feel more like a spin-off than the 5th main entry in the series. It oversimplifies the franchise down to one word, like this is the word for us. Gear? I think it would have stuck out more simplifying it down to of. At least with Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, I mean, that's more acceptable due to Zelda being a far more iconic word, a word unanimously used to refer to the Legend of Zelda franchise as a whole. But man, it still just doesn't feel right. This works better as an abbreviation for fans to use. Quick slang for your game title, not its legal name. At least it's still easy to follow, you know? Gears 5 is the 5th main entry, Zelda 2 is the 2nd main entry. The 3rd, well, me then. Titlers love breaking from tradition to nab some attention. Now, sometimes a series changes for the better. Just Dance went from numbering the entries to just flat out labeling them by the year, which when your yearly music game series is basically just changing the song list with each entry, that's a good change to make. Dance Dance Revolution always felt the need to give each title something unique, but it just overcomplicates everything. Like most of these subtitles are synonyms. For some series, just putting the year at the end, it makes sense. Like with Madden, nothing but consistency. Where they went from naming it John Madden Football to Madden NFL, going from abbreviations of years to full years, back to abbreviations again, and skipping John Madden Football 91. Okay, it's nothing but not consistency. However, ever since Madden NFL 06, things have been smooth sailing. Can't wait to look at the title for Madden 14!
I have to change my legal documents.
The 25th anniversary of Madden. Sure. Now, technically, this is the 25th entry in the series, but come on! I consider this to be a real dumb titling quirk done to just stand out while making your entire franchise more confusing to keep up with. Oh yeah, Madden 25! That actually didn't release in 2024. Battlefield 1! No, the first Battlefield was Battlefield 1942, which was followed by Battlefield Vietnam, and then Battlefield 2, then Battlefield 2142, then Battlefield 3, 4, then 1, then 5, now with a Roman numeral. Then Battlefield 2042. Battlefield 1943 may seem like a sequel to Battlefield 1942, but it's just a spin-off, so what does that make Battlefield 1 a spin-off as well, since Battlefield 5 isn't called Battlefield 6? No, it's mainline, unlike Battlefield Online opposed to the other Battlefield games that play online. All of them. Now where does this fit in the picture? Battlefield Online was a Korean exclusive entry in the series that mainly took assets from previous games to make an online multiplayer-only PC game tailor-made for that market, which is a more common practice than you may think. I mean, Call of Duty did it with Call of Duty Online for the Chinese market. I just find the titling funny when pretty much all the other games in the franchise have online play, acting like this is the online one. When Call of Duty World War II was announced, I was pretty annoyed, like acting as if this was the first and only Call of Duty to do World War II. I understand it had been a while since the last game focused on it, but titling it implies like, yup, this is the Call of Duty based in World War II. And this is the banana. Like, come on, man, at least name it something like World War II Returns or something. I don't know. Call of Duty's already having the issue of reusing titles. We had Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, followed up with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and later on 3. Then with some re-releases of the first Modern Warfare, the number 4 was dropped, like with Call of Duty Modern Warfare Reflex Edition and Remastered, and then the 2019 game launched, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. To be fair, no other game was named that. And then the sequel to it, to also be fair, the same applies. I just wish sometimes they'd cut it with the reused titles. I mean, I get it. I don't care if they have 2 games called Modern Warfare 2 because 95% of the people buying aren't going to be having colorful discussions on the state of the video game industry and will never even reference a Call of Duty that released over 2 years ago. Most of these consumers treat each new Call of Duty, Need for Speed, and Madden like a bag of chips. Open, consume, dispose of. So reusing a title or making this entry a confusing name in comparison to previous games, it doesn't matter. You can name the next Call of Duty Ice smell, it would do just as well as last year's, and people would just call it the Call of Duty for this year.
Last year smelled better, though.
But it also just rubs me the wrong way when games with the exact same name, logo, even box art release, and they are completely and utterly different. You can no longer just call the game Rayman Raving Rabbids. You have to specify Rayman Raving Rabbids, the Wii, Xbox 360, PlayStation 2, and PC version, or the Nintendo DS version, or the Game Boy Advance version, because these three games are nothing alike, being in different genres entirely. I feel that with these handheld versions of console games, they name them and market them as the same thing in a way to kind of trick unknowing consumers into thinking this is gonna be the same game you see all the commercials for on TV. I mean, come on, do you remember ever seeing the Game Boy Color version of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 in the advertising? No, they just show screenshots of the PlayStation version, but lists Game Boy Color as one of the platforms. Oh, well, surely.
If this isn't the real Tony Hawk 2, then what is?
How many games are called Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune, and how many of them are truly the same? You know, this would be a great opportunity to use that for game system subtitle, but no, just call this Jeopardy, and this, well, make sure the people know. But you know what's the most depressing thing ever?
Why?
You title a game with a Volume 1, showing the intentions of this being a long and meaningful series. SNK Arcade Classics Volume 1. Best of PlayStation Network Volume 1. Damn, it's almost like a Volume 2 exists, just like Madden 14. You gotta have a lot of confidence to put Volume 1 in a game's title, almost enough to ensure that Volume 2 is probably already underway. Is this used as a bargaining chip to get a sequel produced? It doesn't work. I will say something. I love seeing a prequel with the subtitle Zero. I just think it sounds good, feels good, like it's the perfect subtitle. It's a great buzzword on its own, and adding it to a franchise name, it's immediately obvious what it is. Earthbound released here in North America on the SNES, but is actually titled Mother 2 in Japan, with the first game on NES almost releasing over here in English, but getting canceled at the last minute. What was called Mother in Japan was meant to be called Earthbound here, but since that first game got scrapped, when they brought Mother 2 over, they just called that Earthbound. However, that original English localization was eventually found and dumped online by fans for people to download and play. Since we already had a game called Earthbound release, it just made sense for fans to call this Earthbound Zero. I couldn't think of anything better to call it. You can find fan-made reproduction cartridges of the game with this title, and it just feels right. But then, Nintendo decided to finally officially release the game on the Wii U's eShop in 2015. What did they call it? This is one of my least favorite titles ever. It sounds so dumb. I'm sure they would have loved to actually call it Earthbound Zero, but had to settle for beginnings because we don't want people to know fans exist. Sure, don't use the word zero, but why beginnings? Why not origins, inception? Hell, Genesis is a synonym for beginning, and that would have been a wicked subtitle. Yeah, it may have already been used for the Sega console, but there are other books of the Old Testament, Deuteronomy. But no, you pick 3 of the worst syllables I've ever heard. Though I've heard worse. Some names just look and sound weird the first time you see them. I remember calling The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Zelda Wii U for years before it finally got its official name, and I thought using the word breath felt off. You look up any reaction to a new game getting announced online, and every single person posting a video has to say the title out loud when it appears on screen.
Super Smash Bros. Ultimate? Oh, Jumanji the video game. Oh!
Which, hey, this game, Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE.
Bless you.
Originally announced as a crossover between Shin Megami Tensei and Fire Emblem, titled none other than Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem, which we'll get to you later. Eventually was renamed to an unlocalized Japanese title for a bit, and then Tokyo Mirage Session Sharp FE. Yes, Sharp, not hashtag or number or pound. Not sure why we needed this portion. I understand FE is an abbreviation for Fire Emblem, and many have pointed out how TMS backwards is SMT, Shin Megami Tensei. I have to give them credit. They found a way to incorporate both series titles into one while keeping this as its own separate thing, which is what it is. While originally planned as a traditional crossover between SMT and Fire Emblem, it became more of an original game that just plays like Shin Megami Tensei, with Fire Emblem characters making appearances assisting the main cast who are completely new and original. So I guess the title was as good as we could get. I still think the Sharp FE is unnecessary though. Like, if you wanted to push out Fire Emblems in the game, the title already barely makes any sense, just throw it in there. But again, I guess they wanted to push this as its own original thing rather than specifically advertise it as a Fire Emblem game. Except they did just that in a few trailers they posted online.
I don't even play this game.
Let's talk about that pesky cross. Christ. Kind of an odd trend for a bit there was using an X between two words to symbolize a crossover and pronouncing it as cross. Shin Megami Cross Fire Emblem, Street Fighter Cross Tekken, Street Fighter Cross Mega Man, Project Cross Zone, which, what is that? A tactical role-playing game featuring characters from Sega, Namco, and Capcom? Oh, I get the title now.
Take your videos offline and watch uninterrupted. Try YouTube Premium on us.
Letters.
Then they started moving away from the cross and started using a plus sign instead. Mario plus Rabbids, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minions, 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, Advance Wars 1+2, Pro Skater 1+2, Box Boy plus Box Girl. Just